When I get up in the morning, I've got to check that all the animals are still here, and then I've got to start feeding them and watering them. And the goats have got to go out, Scuttleball, the pony has to go for a walk. The chicks have to be fed. In 93, I stupidly bought 2 dwarf goats while living 4 blocks from here. And I used to come regularly once a week up the mountain to cut some alien vegetation for them just as a treat. And one morning I did a silly detour and I walked past this place and the bottom gate was open. A few weeks later I arrived here one morning early and 2 policemen were sitting around a little fire with teak window frames from that central building in the fire. Now that building was built in 1893, or finished in 1893. So I was quite upset about it, and I asked them what they were doing, and they said they were cold. And then I ran down to the police station and I reported this, and I said that the police are actually damaging the place. And I half jokingly said, I'll come and live here and look after the place for free. And to my surprise, the chap said I must put it in writing. And then 8 months later we moved in here.
He came here 20 years ago and started keeping animals, and then people started bringing vulnerable small children, and then put the 2 together and said, look, let's create an environment where a vulnerable child and possibly a damaged child can interact with animals and experience healing.
On the farm, we are actually farmers in a food security project called Kisanabanye. Basically, we all work together in the garden sometime, and more into seed saving of like every crop that we plant. So more into the garden side and saving seeds to keep the garden going.
It was a slope. It was just bushy, tall grass, a clay slope, lots and lots of stones and bricks and rubbish and concrete slabs, really hard clay, and we had to put a lot of labor into it, to make it what it is today. Learning how to create a garden in a space that is not necessarily conducive for a garden, I think that's very, very precious.
I used to be lazy. I didn't care much about my surroundings. I didn't want to understand anything. I was just living for the sake of living. But after being on the farm and learning about permaculture, I started seeing that now I'm starting, even when I walk in the streets, I want to know what tree is this. I became curious of my surroundings and what's happening in everything. Yeah, like in all circles.
And well, of course, I have very high hopes for Kisanabanye, and what they are doing is really for me very, very encouraging. Also because when Kisanabanye arrived, you had a merger for me of animal and vegetable husbandry, and it became then for me in a fuller sense a real city farm. Managed by young black people, and it is putting permaculture principles into practice. For me, it's very beautiful.
Or distance under the evening star, while you hear the cry of a bird Bring thoughts of a lonely open space, a lonely closed space.
So I
where
find it
souls
fascinating
flies
what
free
they
to
are
cry
doing.
once at even.
And also that they are creating informal markets and encouraging, in a sense, the meeting of people who ordinarily would not meet. Okay, races. You know, that is being encouraged by this project, and I like it because it's also for me merges with this community that is the first thoroughly non-racial community that I've ever encountered. And it's a privilege for me to be living here.
Where souls flies free to cry once at evening for peace under the sky. Sacred indeed, warmth and friendliness, love and loneliness. Semkinkom, for your ear pelaba. Vogam Africa, Vogam Africa. Ah, Semkinkom, Vogam Africa.
I think it's a very nice community. It's a very diverse community. I find it very interesting. Every day I find out new things about people that I didn't know. You know, it's like the ideal rainbow nation that South Africa is supposed to be.
It's unique, and also like my neighbor's kids grow up on the farm, and my other neighbor's kids also come, they grow up together. It's like, they're different because it's a hard life, but in the same time, we don't have these fancy houses like other people have, but what the farm gives to them is much more than kids in big houses can ever get got.
I've seen what happens here when you throw children together with animals. You know, the healing is so much more profound. 2 years ago, we had a whole bunch of young kids here, sort of 7 to about 10. And the first weekend, they were really, they were throwing stones at the geese and kicking the chickens, and they would sort of pick up the rabbits and fling them down. And 3 weeks later, at the end of that holiday, they knew that these plants are all alive. You don't just take a stick and whack a plant. That was a huge thing for me. When I see children who a few weeks before were still very cruel to animals, then teach new children that you don't do that. That's fantastic.
There's no crime. The kids was never taken to Portsmouth from this farm. So the kids come here and play with the other kids. They actually change because there's something to do. I know it's not my land, it's not our land, but you know, here at least we teach the kids wrong, right.
We are a community in transformation. We are finally becoming a community. There's a new spirit here. That includes a lot of determination, you know, to settle our differences, all of us, and to be accepted as the custodians of this piece of land. This property could be translated into a lot of money. And government, and I have some sympathy with that at the moment with the economic condition, needs revenue. So it's like a sword hanging over us.
I don't know what's going to happen from now on. I'm a bit puzzled. And I'm not really worried because I've now agreed to leave at the end of the year.
You know, I mean, you have people who've been living there for 20 years.
Yeah.
They have kids and grandkids, you know. Where are they gonna go?
Whenever a threat came here, some angel would walk in and give me direction or hope again. So for a long time, it seemed almost as if the place was trying to preserve itself, and that the things that should happen here is sort of protected.
You don't want to invest your energy and then the next thing you are kicked out and all your efforts go to waste.
We're not going to stop fighting. We all know what needs to happen here.
I would like to die here, so hope lives eternal. against all odds that we will be allowed to stay here and be accepted as custodians of this place.